was all over the internet and stuff. And it was just basically like, stop talking shit about me, dude, in an interview. Just let it go. You know, we had what we had, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, Morrissey style, just dripping with like wit and, you know, elegance, enough decency, but enough bite. It was just fucking fantastic. He's so great. Anyway, I won't get into the particulars because it's not really as important as just to know that it seems like Johnny Marr has been like a narcissist probably throughout the years and was jealous of Morrissey probably from the early days, and that's what prompted him to want to go out on his own and be his own badass guitar player in a different band. And he probably envisioned himself, because he's the one that got the band together, and he envisioned himself as more of the leader in the band, and then that proved not to be true, with Morrissey being such a badass of lyricism, of you know, whatever. He was an amazing lyric writer and frontman and beautiful voice and just an amazing emotional human being that people gravitated towards. And I think Johnny Marr didn't have any of that charisma. He didn't have half the talent, but he was amazing with Morrissey. You know, whatever, he came up with really great restrained guitar riffs and things like that. It was pretty subtle, and it was perfect. But he just couldn't relinquish the badassery throne to Morrissey. Like, so when people don't know where their strengths and where their limitations are in equal part, you become an asshole, because you just have to pretend that you have all the strengths, and that's not true, and that proved not to be true. And of course, the more evident that became through their success and everything, that led to him wanting to leave the band and think that he could just go and be his badass self somewhere else. And, you know, absolutely not appreciating the good thing that he was a part of, and feeling like, no, Morrissey's too much in control, and that's not how I envisioned this. I envisioned me being in control. But as I was saying to Tony today, whoever's the wiser of two human beings who are hanging out in the moment, this wiser of the two should be calling the shots. That's how it should always be. So whether it's a parent or an uncle or whatever, or a friend who seems to be pretty grounded, and not, you know, it wasn't about power with Morrissey. He just had more of a vision. He just had more of a sense of himself. He had a mastery of the of the English language. It was just amazing. He was doing creative expression for all the right reasons. And when you tend to be a writer versus a guitar player, you usually are going to have more to say about the human condition. And so Morrissey's contribution was absolutely vital. You know, it's weird, like Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, he didn't do any lyrics. Martin Gore did, you know, and so it's different when you're just this front man. But Morrissey wasn't just the front man, he was, you know, the true front man, you know, the spirit, the soul, the heart of the group. Anyway, it's so interesting, you know, just thinking about these narcissistic / empath dynamics that are definitely coming to the forefront of being called out for what they are, and the empath's no longer taking it. So the fact that Morrissey had to speak up about it just proves that this time is over. This time is just, we're done. So the irony is that Morrissey could be so talented and so obviously gifted and sublime and beautiful, even though he's a nonconformist. So, I mean, that's where Johnny Marr can kind of like needle him. Because when you're a nonconformist, you get picked on, and the media has not been kind to Morrissey. And I don't even know what the truth is with all that. But at any rate, I think people can get smeared, and it's really hard for them to come out from under, including Tony and me. I'm sure we were smeared, and it was very difficult for us to come out from under that. So, yeah, it's just so powerful, the analogies and stuff. But it seems like Johnny Marr has just been subpar his entire solo career. And yet he had this really obnoxious article because he just came out with a new album. And he's just so, like, virtue signaling and bragging about himself, about what a loyal person he is, and how he's loved everyone he's worked with, and close with everyone, and this and that. He's just such a piece of work, you know? And I think in an interview in recent years even said his favorite lyricist that he ever worked with was Immodest Mouse. Yeah, the best lyricist is going to go down in our generation. One of the best is definitely Morrissey, and it's like uncontested. You know, it's so fucking, he's brilliant. So anyway, it's just like Morrissey spoke up and is almost like shining a light on this dynamic, and almost like showing, like, yeah, Johnny Marr, you can be this like subpar guitar player who's like drifted around in a lot of bands. I never ripped on you. I think even as Smith's fans, we've all given him an out. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, he's no Morrissey, but you know, we know that, and that's fine. He's Johnny Marr, and he always got away with it because he was Johnny Marr, you know. But then he's starting to rip Morrissey more in interviews and stuff because that's what the press demands, and he's happy to give it to them to promote his own career. So, and Morrissey's not having any of it. It's like, dude, you fucking left the band back in the day, and it all had to do with jealousy. It all had to do with him not being able to, secede? What is that word? Accede. There's a word, and I'm not using the right word. Letting Morrissey be the leader that he was, and not resenting him for it or feeling jealous of it. And it was so strange because I was saying that that this is no Paul McCartney, John Lennon equal in talent dilemma. It's clear. It's just Morrissey. It's just Morrissey. And Tony's like, oh, I remember an interview with Johnny Marr recently where, you know, they're like, you know, tea or coffee, tea, you know, whatever. And they said, Lennon or McCartney? Harrison. And I was like, oh, I just said that. I just said that to Tony moments before, and that's why he said it. And I was like, yeah, I heard that George Harrison was like really annoyed by Paul McCartney and John Lennon's talents, you know, because he wasn't the same. And I said, and I think even frickin' Ringo Starr was smart enough to give it up. You know, he was comedic relief and all that stuff. But, he wasn't trying to act like I'm just as good as the other two. He knew, and he had a sense of humor about it, whereas George Harrison couldn't give it up in the same way that Johnny Marr can't give it up. And so all these years, Johnny Marr has to justify that he left because Morrissey was a monster and too controlling and this and that, and he didn't make a mistake. That's what he has to keep going. Interesting. So interesting how people have to smear. You know, it's like a smear campaign because you can't live up to being as good as they are. Oh, so interesting. All right, so